Comic Boom here to review The Witching Hour. And this is The Witching Hour number 1. And this flows out of the pages of Justice League Dark number 3. And this basically has to do with, Justice League Dark battling the Upside Down Man, or the dark forces of magic that escaped from the Source Wall. This is a beautifully illustrated comic book. It's $4.99. It's extra size. It's basically Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark, and basically in a 2-page spread in other comic books. It basically Witching Hour. It's a 5-part weekly event, and it starts off in, this is the first one in Witching Hour, and then the next one is in part 2 is in Wonder Woman issue 56, out October 10th. Justice League Dark number 4 out on October 17th. Then the next part is Wonder Woman 57, part 4 on October 24th, and finally part 5 will be out on Halloween on October 31st. Justice League Dark and Wonder Woman The Witching Hour number 1. And again, this is the way it should be. And the great thing about events like this, and DC does a really good job of it, and they did the same thing with the Justice League and Suicide crossover, is they made it a weekly event. We're not waiting forever, you know. As much as, for example, I'm enjoying Marvel's Infinity Wars. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun series, but it's too long. There's way too many issues. It goes on forever, and it's not out fast enough. In this day and age, maybe it's just me getting old and impatient, but I like the fact that The Witching Hour, where it's quick. It's every week there's another chapter, and it's awesome. Now, this particular issue, I absolutely love this issue. James Tynion has done such a fantastic job. I did a Dark Knight Nation and I over on his channel, and I give a shout out to Dark Knight Nation. We talked about the current Justice League books in the DC universe right now. Justice League Dark, Justice League Odyssey. All are really well done. James Tynion is the best, though. His writing is fantastic. This issue is absolutely hilarious and adventurous and funny. It even has some romance in it. This is really good. Written by James Tynion IV. Jose Marino is the artist. Romulo Fajuti Jr. is on colors. And it's just fantastic. And it basically starts off with a scene that is sort of reminiscent of what we've seen in the pages of the early issues of Justice League Dark. Wonder Woman, when she was a young child on Themyscira, basically interrupted a witch's ceremony that was done to worship the evil goddess Hecate. I think I'm saying that right, Hecate, and or Hecate, I guess. And basically, she becomes possessed, but then she forgets that she was possessed. And the witches sort of, what they do is that they store dark magic in Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman apparently has gone throughout this entire time not realizing that her body has been essentially a vestibule for some powerful forces of magic. And at the end of Justice League Dark, Wonder Woman managed to push back the forces of the Upside Down Man because he didn't know he felt some power, a font of power within Wonder Woman that he put on, that he turned on metaphysically, and it gave Wonder Woman the vast amounts of power that she used to push back the dark forces of magic. Now, what's great about this issue is she starts off and she's telling the other members of the Justice League, she's telling Superman, Batman, Cyborg, she's basically telling them, look, I managed to put off the forces of the Upside Down Man, and I just wanted to warn you guys that Dr. Fate was possessed. Nabu, who's basically the powerhouse, Nabu's helmet that Kent Nilsson wears as Dr. Fate, that he's basically been taken over. Nabu's basically corrupted, and Dr. Fate helped basically release these dark forces. And Wonder Woman says, we can't defeat these forces, and I managed just barely to hold them off. And Superman basically asks Wonder Woman, well, how did you do that? And Wonder Woman, in a very cool scene, James Tynion, and just does a fantastic job here. There's a scene here where Wonder Woman, before she answers Superman's question, she doesn't want to tell Superman the truth, so she deliberately does not touch. She removes her hand away from her magic lasso, so she's not compelled to tell Superman the truth. And it doesn't appear as if no other members of the Justice League saw Wonder Woman actually move her hand away from her magic lasso, and she just said, well, I was lucky. And it's really good. That's a beautifully written scene by James Tynion. His dialogue is spot on for all these characters. He's got the best understanding of any DC writer right now in terms of all the members of the Justice League, in my opinion. And I believe Dark Knight Nation shares that opinion as well. Let me know if you guys agree with me or not on that. But in any event, it's really well done, and just the art is absolutely excellent. And Batman, of course, is a little skeptical. You know what's wrong with Wonder Woman, and Zatanna and Wonder Woman have they've sort of got a tumultuous relationship between the two of them, because Wonder Woman doesn't necessarily trust Zatanna. Wonder Woman has always been someone whose power is grounded in mythology, not so much magic. So it's very interesting that James Tynion, that they're using Wonder Woman as sort of this character now to be possibly some sort of like human demigod vestibule of dark magical energies. And that's interesting because it sort of reminds me of the New 52 when Wonder Woman was the goddess of war. I like the idea of sort of rocking the boat a little bit. So Wonder Woman, I find, is more interesting now because she's not just this about love and compassion, and she's got a darker edge to her now, and I like that. And I actually hope that she keeps some of the darker magical properties and energies that James Tynion has given her in this series so far. And as the story progresses, it tells the origin basically of it recounts the earlier days when Wonder Woman first got this magic imbued into her, and that she since forgot. Meanwhile, Hecate, this god Hecate, has been essentially possessing and has been manifesting, has been sort of collecting all the magic that she has got stored up in various other magicians and sorceresses and people and magicians all over the world, and she sort of invades the Oblivion Bar, Hecate, and where a lot of other there's the Sisterhood of the Sleight Hand, where they have formed, and they're basically getting together and basically they're at the Oblivion Bar, and Hecate shows up and basically starts kicking ass and basically kills a lot of the women there, a lot of the magicians there, a lot of the sorcerers there, the wielders of magic. And meanwhile, my favorite character in this issue is Bibbo the Chimp, and what's funny about that is that he's never been a character I've really liked all that much, but man, he just wants a beer, and it's revealed here that Bibbo the the detective chimp, he actually created a secret door under the Hall of Justice that leads right into the Oblivion Bar, so you can literally go into the basement of the Hall of Justice, and there's a hidden door where you can go into the Oblivion Bar and have a beer. And it's just really good, and I just love that. And the meanwhile, as they're doing that, they're trying to get a handle on what's going on. Hecate tries to manifest within Wonder Woman, and she's trying to resist it. And they're trying to help her out, and Zatanna's basically trying to get her to focus and relax. And relax. We can help you. You can overcome Hecate's influence. And in the meantime, of course, Hecate, Bibbo, the detective chimp, is trying to contact the members of the Justice League that are on the main floor of the Justice League, saying, please come to the basement and help us out. Wonder Woman's gone a little psycho. And of course, Hecate, unfortunately, has sort of possessed and sort of mind manipulated the members of the Justice League so that they're focusing on other things. And so it's a great scene. It's a great use of magic. It's so beautifully illustrated, and it's so easy to understand and flow. And that really stands out when you compare it to when you compare that to the more confusing narrative contained in the pages of Justice League by Snyder. So again, full compliments to Tynion on this. Now, the great thing about this is, aside from the art, the language of again the monkey here is just hilarious. He's complaining that there's he says, how come the one magic person on our team can't do frickin' magic, and he's complaining about Zatanna. Zatanna isn't much good because the more she speaks backwards, the more she's going to be that the darker forces of magic are going to focus in on her language, and it's going to help pull them more into the universe. What's fascinating is that the explanation given as to why Zatanna speaks backwards is that her father, Zatara, basically trained her, and this was revealed in Justice League Dark. Zatara, her father, trained Zatanna to speak backwards to sort of manifest magic, but at the same time, the reason why they speak magic is that they didn't want to call attention to it. They wanted to hide the fact that they were using magic by speaking backwards, so that they would have less of a chance of attracting the darker gods. That's why Zatara, her father, did that and trained Zatanna so rigorously in that regard. Now, there's a great scene of dialogue here where Detective Chimp says to Wonder Woman, "How did the meeting go with the Justice League?" And Wonder Woman basically says, "Well, we didn't tell him. I wasn't, I didn't tell him. He doesn't know because, he's really concerned. Like, well, how did Batman react?" And of course, Wonder Woman says, "I didn't tell Batman." And Detective Chimp says, "Batman's definitely someone who doesn't take it personally when people don't tell him things that could destroy the world. He's going to have a very rational reaction to that." I mean, the sarcasm and the wit here is really good. Tinian gets these characters, and Bibbo is such a funny character. It's really great. As Wonder Woman's having this transformation in the basement of the Hall of Justice, they need to escape and get away from it. And the way to escape is to go to the Oblivion Bar, and of course, that's when it's revealed that Bibbo has created a doorway from the basement of the Hall of Justice right into the Oblivion Bar. But of course, they get to the Oblivion Bar, and the Oblivion Bar has been completely destroyed already by Hecate, who's already attacked and drained a lot of the magical energies and killed a lot of the people and participants and the magic wielders at the Oblivion Bar. So this is really, really getting bad. It's a disaster. When they get there, the only survivor in the Oblivion Bar, one of the few survivors, is John Constantine, who seems to abruptly kiss passionately Zatanna because he said he thinks it's the end of the world. They're all going to die. It's their last chance because the witching hour has begun. And guys, this is really whetting the appetite. This is such a fun comic book. I love it. This is so well done. I highly recommend it. This is by far the best Justice League story right now. It's much easier to follow than what else is out there. Give this a shot. The Witching Hour by James Tinian. Great art by Jose Marino and Rijardo Jr. on the colors. Beautiful art. Give it a shot. And check out, remember, it's a weekly series. The next part is in the pages of Wonder Woman issue 57. And in the subsequent issues of Wonder Woman 56, followed by Justice League Dark number 4, Wonder Woman 57, followed by Justice League Dark and Wonder Woman The Witching Hour number 1 out, the final conclusive issue on October 31st. So this is a perfect comic book and a superhero comic book to bring in Halloween 2018. Guys, check it out. Until next time, hit the subscribe button, and Comic Boom out.